Hello everyone and welcome to the 9th episode of my Gears of War Judgment gameplay series, which is also the second part to my OverRun tips and tricks little mini series. Last episode in this series I actually focused on the COG team, and you saw the first half of the gameplay for that, which was focused on the COG team. And basically this is going to be the second part of that, which is showing the second half of the gameplay, which I play quite well in this, and it's focusing on the Locust side. So I'm going to explain all about what you need to do when you're playing as the Locust team. Now, if you want to watch the first episode, which is focusing on the COG team, I'll link that video in the description and as an annotation on the screen now. So, since there's a lot to get through, I'll just jump straight into it. So you can pretty much use two words to describe what you need to do on the Locust team, and that's maximise damage. Basically, your main focus is about destroying anything you can. It's generally easier to play on the Locust team without a team or a party. You can sort of play on your own much easier. There are still some team-based things that you can do on the Locust side, but because it's literally just about destroying as much as you can get away with just being on your own. You're not as reliant on really adapting to what the team are doing. So at the start of each round you basically need to focus on getting the fortifications down to build up points to spend on the more powerful beasts, and then at the end of each round go for those bigger beasts to make the final push and kill as many of the opponents as possible, and basically destroy as much as you can, destroy those generators in the quickest time possible. Now, one of the main problems you see with maybe versus players when they come into OverRun as the Locust side is that they just focus on killing the opponents, killing the COG, and that's not going to get you anywhere. Yes, you do need to kill some opponents to get through to where you want to be, but your main focus should be on destroying those E-holes and destroying those generators. So if you're killing, say, 2 or 3 engineers, but you're not pushing on further and putting damage onto the E-holes, putting damage onto the fortifications or the generators or whatever, your team's going to get nowhere and ultimately you're going to end up losing. So your main focus has to be on those fortifications and the generators or the E-holes. So let's get into what you can actually use to do this. Basically, tickers are essential for the start of a game. The multiple tickers at the very start can always take down pretty much the first fortification, maybe the first few, and they are useful later on to sneak through to the generator when the COG are maybe preoccupied in other areas. Remember that they are invincible when they're blown up, so use that to your advantage, and really be wary of engineers. They're very weak to sentries. If there are engineers around, just don't really bother, choose something else. But yeah, tickers are really important at the start of a game to get those initial fortifications down and to give you a foothold in the game. Now, wretches are useful for harassment, essentially. If there's a scout being annoying sort of up on a ledge, you can obviously use a wretch to go get him out. But they're also good for going through those areas that no one can get to and sneaking behind enemy lines. You can cause a lot of disruption and a lot of harassment to the opponents and basically make yourself a bit of an annoyance, which allows your teammates to sort of get rid of those fortifications whilst the enemy are focusing on you. But you can also cause a lot of generator damage if you're not spotted. I remember me and Drakov once completely destroyed a generator by ourselves on the second area of Skyline as 2 wretches because we went completely unnoticed. But again, they are weak to sentries, so be wary of that. And use the stun scream when you can as well to really hit home that you're going to be an annoyance and to help your teammates get through and maybe kill a few engineers or whatever who are stunned at the time. Now, Grenadiers are the versus players, what they use, but they are useful when they're not in the hands of versus players, essentially. I actually put up a For the Love of Gears video showing pretty much how to use a Grenadier, so I'll put that on the screen now as an annotation. But yeah, Grenadiers are good against engineers, where the grenades can sort of destroy sentries quite easily if you've got good aim. And they can cause quite a lot of death and disruption, obviously, those grenades. Now, they're not really that good with fortifications. They do take a while when you're shooting at fortifications with a Lancer. And they're better used when sort of most fortifications have been destroyed or you can't really get any further with tickers or wretches. But you don't want to overuse Grenadiers as well, because sentries will kill you quite easily. And Bushkas as well, for that matter. And really with Grenadiers you're not going to push on as much as you can when you've got say 5 Grenadiers. You're much better with a variety of beasts, but they are useful as sort of support with Grenadiers and the Lancer and Gnasher to sort of get in there and clear out areas of people. Now the Cantus isn't really that great at the start of a game because usually there's nothing really to heal. They're more of a support specialist when there's bigger Locust around, like enraged Rages or Maulers. A Cantus and a Mauler combination can be absolutely deadly. Just make sure to stay out of the enemy's sights as they are quite weak. But yeah, the Cantuses are more useful near the end of a game where they can support some of the bigger beasts and make them stay alive more often. Now onto the Locust, where you've actually got to spend your hard-earned money to get them. Now first we've got Rages. Now if you're handy with the Breechshot, Rages can change the game around. If you're taking heads left, right and centre, then there's not a lot the enemy can do and your team have just got free reign to go in and destroy whatever they want. But the most useful ability of the Rager is when it is enraged, because it's a one-hit melee kill. You do have to get very close, but it can clear an area of cog in no time. They're not really that great against fortifications, so they're more of an end game to clear out sort of the area where the generator is and allow the rest of your team to push in. Now if you do see a Rager running into an area, just follow him, because the enemy aren't going to be focused on you. And that brings us on to Maulers. Now Maulers are absolute tanks. They are very, very hard to kill, and they have multiple useful abilities. They are very good at getting through fortifications if you're stuck at any point, and remember to use the shield as defense and offense with its spinning ability, because it will keep you alive a lot longer. A good tip is really to focus on staying alive. The damage will come naturally, and if you've got any Cantuses around, that's even better. Now the Serapede's very good against fortifications and sentries, although it is also weak to sentries. However, it is quite difficult to kill if there aren't any engineers with those sentries. Now you can use the spit ability to sort of keep the enemy team at bay, whilst other Locusts sort of break fortifications and things like that. And the Serapede is my favourite Locust, I'd have to say. I normally tend to use it at the very end of a round when there's sort of a clear run to the generator or the E-hole, especially if there's very little health on it left, because really you can just casually walk in and destroy it quite easily, because the opponent can't kill you quick enough, because it is such a hard thing to kill without sentries, and it does take some time. Now moving on to the Corpser. The Corpser is very powerful but also very weak. It's quite like the Mauler in that you need to focus on staying alive and the damage will come naturally. Try to bury underground to heal yourself, and also to sort of move around areas and cause confusion and be a bit of a distraction. Now if you are a Corpser, the Cog team are going to focus on you. Or if there are other Corpsers, basically the Cog team are going to focus on killing that Corpser as quickly as possible. So use that to your advantage. If you see a Corpser going in and causing a distraction, push in yourself with a different beast, and try, if you are a Corpser, try to lure the opponents away from sort of the main focus of the generator or the E-hole. But yeah, they are quite expensive, so only really use a Corpser if you know what you're doing. So, some general tips for playing as the Locust. Basically, tickers first, always, to get some fortifications down. Then try to get some Wretches behind enemy lines or Grenadiers to sort of take the fight to the engineers and really make it a sort of ground war fight type dogfight. And then bring some tickers back in later on, maybe to get some, when fortifications are sort of close to being destroyed, just get a ticker in, destroy that fortification, and then it's time to sort of near the end of a game, near the end of a round, bring in the heavy hitters such as the Rages and the Maulers. You can also do that if you're getting stuck at any of the fortifications. Now the idea being you should be trying to keep saving those points, so you want to get everything destroyed in the least costly way. So if you can get an E-hole destroyed with generators and tickers and wretches, then do it. Don't bother spending too much money on bigger beasts that can be more useful on later rounds. Now again, you have to think about what the classes the opponents have as well and adjust accordingly. If you find that there's no sentries whatsoever, just keep going in with tickers, you know, it's not that difficult. But other useful tips, I would say, don't waste your powerful beasts. Keep them until they're needed, as I've said, and be wary of the sword-offs and bushkas, because they can cause quite a lot of damage. Now with the larger beast, it's probably more important to stay alive. You know, it's more effective to sort of retreat for 10 seconds and heal up, and then go back in and cause some more damage, than it is to die and then just have no more points left to buy that Locust back again. So yeah, with the bigger ones, with the ones that actually cost a lot of money, you want to focus more on staying alive than you do when you say a Grenadier or a Wretch or a Ticker. And that's about it for this episode, guys. As you can see, I've pretty much used a variety of beasts in this game, and not done too badly as well. I do end up getting MVP. And yeah, it was pretty much a total domination from us in terms of the match itself. So yeah, you know, although I'm not really playing Judgment anymore, and really I don't think a lot of people are, OverRun was definitely the best thing to come out of the game, so I felt like I had to complete this little mini series and give a full amount of tips and tricks on both sides of both teams, essentially the Cog and the Locust. So I hope you found this useful. To those of you that are still playing, hopefully OverRun comes back in a future Gears game. And if you did find it useful, give it a like. Let me know. And also, you know, tell me if you've got any tips as well. If you have any tips on how to play as the Locust, put them in the comments below. And if you've got any tips on how to play as the Cog, put them in the comments on the Cog video, which is linked in the description, just a reminder again. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. As you can see, we destroyed the generator. I managed to get MVP, which I was quite happy about, and we did it a lot quicker than the opponents did. So thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time.